What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is your AEW Dynamite review for April 29th, 2020. Did Tony Khan deliver on the hype where he said this was going to be one of the best wrestling shows that you've watched in recent memory under the current circumstances that we are under? I think he might have over-embellished a little bit, but tonight's Dynamite was excellent, to say the least. TNT Championship Tournament is finally over. We are at the stage in which we can now say we have a final. We got Dustin Rhodes and Lance Archer tonight, with Lance Archer winning. We're going to go over my thoughts on that, and then Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin and the history between those two men, with Cody winning. And we are at the predictable situation of Cody versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship at Double or Nothing. I was hoping that AEW would go in a different route. I was hoping for a little dose of unpredictability, but they think that the story with Cody and Lance Archer needs the championship. They think and they feel like Cody and Lance Archer can really deliver a story-rich title match that will have everything and kind of make us feel like, you know what, we were wrong and Tony Khan was right. So we'll see what happens with that. Also on the card tonight, we got Wardlow in action. MJF is back on Dynamite as well for a second week. The Exalted One, the Exalted McMahon, Brodie Lee in action, committing child abuse against Marko Stunt, plus so much more right here on Dynamite for Off the Script. Thank you guys so much for joining me. As always, follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys for live tweeting with me tonight. If you missed my Monday Night Raw review, if you missed it, I don't blame you because Jinder Mahal is on the thumbnail, and when Jinder Mahal is on the thumbnail, it's like bug repellent. So I understand your worries and your fears. Jinder Mahal, I knew he would hinder the ratings. Monday Night Raw had one of the worst ratings in the history of the program, 27 years, and Jinder comes back on night one after being out for a year, and he's already hindering the ratings. I knew it, but, you know, I'm no modern-day Nostradamus. I might as well fucking end up being one because I know what's coming. I know what's coming, motherfucker. You're going to watch this guy make his re-debut or his return on Monday Night Raw. Apollo just got pulled from the Money in the Bank match. You know what they're going to do. Jinder in, Jinder wins the Money in the Bank, and then I see Sean Ross Sapp on social media. I love Sean Ross Sapp. Don't get me wrong, he's a good bud, right? He's a good guy, but he says Jinder Mahal should win the Money in the Bank contract because the meat and potatoes of the story with Drew McIntyre is there. And I can't really grasp the concept of Jinder Mahal winning the Money in the Bank ladder match over Aleister Black. I don't know who would make that opinion on social media. Apparently Sean Ross Sapp did. I'm not criticizing him. He is entitled to his own opinion. He's never said anything bad about me. So I will not do the same thing that I usually do to others here to him. But this is the consensus from people on social media, folks. Jinder Mahal, and he's not the only one with that opinion. Some people are already clamoring to see Jinder Mahal take the title from Drew McIntyre. On what planet are you from? I would love to know what type of drugs you're taking, bro. I really would. But Jinder's going to win the last chance gauntlet match on Monday. He will be in the Money in the Bank, and then we can kiss Aleister Black winning Money in the Bank goodbye, bro. Because your SummerSlam main event will end up being Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Oh, great. It's a fun summer, man. We're going to be locked down at home. No beaches, no parks, no MLB. And we got fucking Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. Awesome. Awesome. Can we erase the entire year at this fucking point? So if you missed that, on my rant on him and Nia Jax and her desires in catering, go and check out my Monday Night Raw review live on the channel right now. On top of that, Off the Script from last weekend, great show as always. We're already prepping for episode 324 this coming Friday and Saturday. So if you missed any of my content, links are down below in the description. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. I should have a new video out tomorrow I don't know if it's going to be an off-the-script elite, but it's going to be AEW news just to kind of add on top of what we talk about here today. I got some news and rumors coming out of AEW, or I may just put it in the show tonight. I have no idea. I got this extra hour of content that I recorded today. I am thinking about maybe doing it as a separate upload, so we'll see what happens. So if you guys see an upload tomorrow, make sure you have the notifications on. That's all I can tell you. So make sure you guys do that for me. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500 thumbs up. You guys know how it helps out the channel, so I would appreciate your help and support on that down below. If you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, you know to certainly do that as well. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And today's podcast is brought to you by my good friends over at Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Now, I know we all miss Jim Ross, but you can miss Jim Ross less because Jim Ross has a new book on Audible, a new audio book called Under the Black Hat, which you guys can get for free using our unique link, audibletrial.com/offthescript. Get your 30 days of their service, get one free audiobook of your choice, and help support the podcast. Easy as Titus's blueberry pie, bro. Really. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Now, what I got lined up for you for the rest of this podcast, obviously AEW Dynamite, talking about whatever happened on Dynamite tonight with the TNT Championship Tournament. Like I said, we got Cody and Darby. We got Archer and Rhodes in the big 2 matches tonight, but I will not be discussing them alone. I will not be on this podcast alone. Yes, I know. JD, we're here for you, man. Yeah, I get it. Sometimes I want to include my friends. Sometimes I want to take it a little bit easy. But I got my friend here, and you know him very well. You either love him or hate him. I don't give a shit if you love him or hate him. He's here because I said so, and I want him here. So get ready. AEW Dynamite review right here on Off the Script. Let's hit the little transition I got and go right into the review right here on Off the Script, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for sticking with me right here on Off the Script. This is your AEW Dynamite review for Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. We're going to go over the TNT Championship Tournament. Some really, really great stuff tonight from Darby Allin, Cody Rhodes, and we got Lance Archer and Dustin Rhodes in the finals, which was the main event tonight, or the semifinals, rather, in the main event tonight. And I got a very special guest today joining me on the Dynamite review. Ticket Drew, what's up, my friend?
What's up, buddy? Long time, no video, I guess. How you been?
Yeah, no, I'm good. What'd you think of Dynamite? Quick thoughts and overview before we get into the detailed review of the show tonight. What'd you think of Dynamite on TNT tonight?
I thought it was a fantastic show from top to bottom, and I think next week is going to be good. I really didn't like the ending of 2 matches, and we'll get into that. So, good show, though.
Yeah. And I was actually flipping back and forth for the first time in a while today. I don't know if you did the same thing. I know we won't.
I got the 3 TVs on one wall, JD. Come on now.
Well, look at you. I won't talk too much WWE tonight because this is AEW, but, man, Charlotte Flair and Mia Yim. I was flipping back and forth, and I can't get into it, man. I can't get into Charlotte being the NXT champion. It's just, I'm looking at the match tonight, and I know I'm going to talk about it on Friday's podcast, but I feel like she's going to bury the division. I really do.
I think she was brought there for ratings, and I also think that she's the best female wrestler in the WWE. So
really?
Yeah,
over
absolutely.
Sasha? Over Io?
I mean, Sasha doesn't wrestle. I mean, when's the last time you saw Sasha wrestle? I mean, I'm not sitting here saying Sasha doesn't have talent because she has buckets of it.
Jeez,
but
think,
when's the last time you saw her wrestle?
I think you single-handedly made all the people in the comments salty, bro.
That's all right. I like Charlotte Flair. Listen, this is an AEW review. We can get off WWE.
All right, no more WWE. I probably maybe at the end we'll talk about the potential sale, and we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff. Vince McMahon being sued, so we'll talk about that probably later. But Dynamite opened with a great video package with Cody Rhodes. Cody narrating a video package with clips of his prior match against Darby Allin. These two did have history. He said at Fyter Fest, Darby entered a ghost and showed the world he could hang with him for 20 minutes. Cody says he feels like he lost enough early in his career that he never wants to lose. And I love this line. And a draw is a loss. I just love the way Cody Rhodes comes off in these things. He just sounds really just professional, and he just makes everything sound so important. Darby whispered into this and said he didn't lose to Cody and he lost to Arn Anderson because, I don't know if you remember, Drew, when Arn Anderson got up on the ring apron at that one match that took place at Daly's place, Arn, the coach, told Cody to get the knees up when Darby was coming off the top rope for the coffin drop. So I really like that line as well. How do you feel about Arn Anderson not being out there with Cody? Does it take away from the overall act of Cody, or do you not mind?
No, I don't mind. I think what they're saving is the Jake the Snake and Arn Anderson showdown there at Double or Nothing, which I'm really looking forward to.
That should be really good. Now that you mentioned it, I wasn't even thinking about that tonight. But he said the TNT Championship represents suits and ties. Of course, this would come from Darby Allin, the goth metalhead-like Darby Allin. He represents the opposite. Cody says he can't fight for the AEW Championship despite him being the number one contender. I think they'll change that eventually. Cody says he can't visualize anyone with that title except for himself. He said he eats, sleeps, and breathes wrestling. I know for sure that's who I am. Darby asked if you want a corporate champion or him who is relentless. Cody then said Darby is a huge part of AEW's future, but is he a champion? So I really love the build-up there. And we go right into the match, Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes. And this one was all about the knee of Cody Rhodes, and that was the story of the match. They began with some nice chain wrestling. Allin targeted the knee with some kicks. They brawled outside where Allin dodged a charge from Cody, and Cody accidentally took out Brandi in the melee. Cody briefly got the upper hand until Allin went back with the knee. Then they got back in the ring. Allin used a heel hook, knee bar, Indian deathlock, which was pretty cool. Cody rolled to the outside to collect himself. Britt Baker all of a sudden hit him with a shoe from the audience. I didn't really get that correlation there, but it is what it is. We go to commercial break. Cody made a comeback after the commercial. Lariat, X-Plex, a disaster kick. Allin then cut Cody off with a crossroads. Almost beat him with his own finishing move for a near fall. Allin then used a figure four, which Cody has been using in the past couple of weeks. Brandi returned to the ring with a bottle of water. Cody took a drink from the bottle. Allin took the bottle and smashed the bottle into Cody Rhodes' head. I'm asking where's the DQ, because I would say that a bottle of water is a legal object, but that's neither here or there. Allin went for a second coffin drop, and Cody caught him coming in with the crossroads. Allin kicked out. And then this is the part of the match I loved. Cody got cocky for the first time in a while, went to the top rope for his own version of the coffin drop. Allin got his knees up, and then the finish saw Allin go for a coffin drop, landed it, but Cody pulled him over into a backslide, and Allin was pinned. And this, I seen people on social media saying that this was the same Triple H Jeff Hardy finish from No Mercy 2007, which I did not even realize until I was browsing social media after the match. Now, Drew, I don't know what you thought of the match itself. I thought it was great. They went nearly 20 minutes, took up a good chunk of the show. But the ending of the match, I wanted Darby to win it, but I understand why he didn't win it. I understand the ending that they went with. It made him look strong in defeat by losing in the manner in which he lost. But I can't grasp, as a viewer watching at home, how Darby Allin didn't realize, A, his shoulders were down, and B, that Cody Rhodes was rolled up on his side and him himself was not pinned. I did not like the ending of the match. I think it was just convoluted, just to try and sell a point that Darby Allin, lost in a fluke-like manner. And I honestly think he should have won just to throw everybody off of the predictability factor of this tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the ending was garbage. I think they could have went with something completely different. I thought when Brandi came out with that water bottle, if I had the pencil, what I would have done is had that water bottle been spiked by Jake and Archer, and that water bottle knocked Cody out, whatever he drank from it, and then had Darby Allin hit the coffin drop and Cody lay there lifeless, and Darby Allin got the win. That's how I would have done it. They went the complete opposite way, and I'm not in charge of AEW, but I don't mind Cody being in the finals, but A, he doesn't need to be there. He's already a megastar, and B, this could have really been a jumping off point for Darby Allin, and didn't happen. I didn't like the finish at all.
How would you have booked it in the beginning of this? Because as soon as the brackets came out, I felt like you seen Cody on one side, you see Lance Archer on the other, and it's like, Jesus Christ, are they really setting this shit up for the predictability of Cody and Lance Archer? Right then and there, I'm like, Darby Allin's got to win this thing because I feel like he's lost too many times. He's lost definitely more than he's won. And I feel like, and I don't know what you think of this when you hear secondary title or mid-card title in AEW. Like, that title is pretty much made for someone like Darby Allin. I get the fact that a heel should be a champion and then have the babyface chase. But I honestly think with how over he is, and hopefully we get things back to being normal, and fans could somehow be in attendance, I just don't think that Darby Allin losing and not being in the finals of this tournament, I think it's a mistake. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Darby Allin or the likes of MJF could have really used something like this. MJF obviously is stuck in New York, so due to all the travel issues and everything else, maybe this title and the tournament was created for him, and this is what they went with because this was who was available. You guys got to remember that as well. But this finals match that we're going to see, which you'll touch on, I don't think we needed the championship on the line for it. I think they could have had a good match without the title, and I think Dustin and Darby could have had one of the better matches on this Double or Nothing card. And how I would have booked it was I would have had Dustin go over, I would have had Darby go over, and then I would have had Dustin put his career on the line against Darby for the TNT Championship, and then maybe Dustin hangs him up or Dustin wins the title. But I definitely wouldn't have had this match that we're going to see at Double or Nothing. But just because of the predictability factor, I just thought they would go with something else and they didn't. So.
Yeah, no, Tony Khan was actually tweeting out last week that this was one of the best wrestling shows that you will have seen in recent memory. And I was hoping that actually played into the unpredictability factor that I had hoped for, but we got Cody winning. I'm not taking anything away from the match itself. It was easily the best match of the three that these two have had. I just don't think that Cody needs it. So we'll see him in the finals of the TNT Championship Tournament at Double or Nothing, which is still on for May 23rd, I believe, at Daly's Place. So that should be interesting going on into the pay-per-view. Scorpio Sky. I know a lot of people in the community, including myself, think that Scorpio Sky has the biggest upside in SCU. What do you think about Scorpio Sky as part of a member of SCU, and do you believe in the opinion of the community that he is the one with the most upside in SCU?
Well, the next time I see any of these fans who like Scorpio Sky at a bar where we're at for an AEW show, I will happily buy you a shot or a drink because you are 100% right. Scorpio Sky has an immense amount of talent. I love that he's paired with these two veterans who can shine him up and give him all the tools of the trade. The things that he's lacking, which I don't think are many, but Scorpio Sky is going to be a superstar and somebody who I think could be a future AEW World Champion sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and Jericho put him over big as well in that one match that they had, though it was short. I feel like it did project Scorpio Sky in the right direction. He talked about how Kaz and Christopher Daniels were looking for a new partner while he was talking about how the group had formed. He said it really caught fire when they did the worst town bit, and he talked about getting an AEW World Championship match, like I just mentioned, against Chris Jericho. He said he felt he was home, right here where he was supposed to be in AEW. He said he looks around and sees people just happy to be here, and he wants to be a fucking legend, in his own words. And a nice cheap shot there at WWE. People are just happy to be here. Obviously, with all the news that nobody's happy right now in the other company. But Scorpio Sky, I do think that when things get back to normal, is going to be a very integral part of AEW. Moving on to the other guy that I think everybody's incredibly high on, MJF. The world needs MJF. I think Dynamite needs MJF. I can't wait to see him back live next week on Dynamite. Like you said, he's stuck home in New York, in Long Island. MJF said he was able to rehab his horrible injury with his male doctor, who is world-renowned, and he said he never seen such a miraculous turnaround in modern medicine. Of course he would say that. He said he has now grown the strongest fingernail known to man. He said he injured his fingernail while gambling one of those weeks on Dynamite. He said that while he was shaving, now he has another injury. Something happened. He removed his scarf, and he showed everybody a neck brace. He ain't using Harry's. That's why he got fucking injured. So I got to get him some Harry's next time I see him. So he was showing off his neck brace. He said he was looking forward to hopping on a German-fested plane to wrestle in front of 6 or 7 of his peers that he said he deeply respects in the most sarcastic of tones. He said he will be back eventually because he is the voice of AEW, or the voice big enough or brave enough to cry out, and the storm thundering across the horizon is what he said, and the candle who right now he has is lit in a dark room. I am the only hope that this company has left. I am Maxwell Jacob Freeman, yada, yada, yada. He's better than everybody. We know it. Do you see MJF and Jon Moxley being the main event of Double or Nothing? That's the simplest question I could possibly ask you.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Probably not. I don't know where they go, but I think MJF probably has a couple more matches before he gets there, because I think once you put MJF in that match, he has to come out victorious. So,
well, who do you think Moxley goes up against? Is there anybody even legitimate enough to stand in the ring with him during this entire thing? Or is, it can't be somebody like Hager again. It's got to be somebody of the caliber of an MJF.
Yeah, I think they could take the Guevara route and just, have Jericho be like, well, my protege will take you on. Or they could go Brodie Lee. They could go Matt Hardy. I mean, you really never know. It seems like Matt Hardy's in this whole feud with Le Champion and Sammy Guevara. So it'll be interesting to see where next week goes. You could easily do a rematch between Jericho and Moxley and maybe get the belt off Moxley that way, but I don't think MJF is ready to, and I'm not saying he's not ready as a talent, he definitely is, but I just don't think he's ready in storylines to be the world champion. But if they do go that route, they need to put the strap on him in that match.
Or is it not ready for, or is the moment not ready to happen because of the circumstances that we're in? You would rather have MJF win it in front of a raucous crowd of 13,000 people.
Right, where they can boo the hell out of him. And realistically, even if Moxley, let's just say Moxley's title reign isn't, what everyone has had hopes for, or it's not what it's panned out to be, there's going to be nobody there. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. So keep the strap on him. Get it to the next pay-per-view, which is, 3 months from now, I think is All In, if we're allowed to have it, which I think we will. And have MJF's coronation there. That would be smart, because that place will boo him out of the building.
That works. I could see them going the interim route right now, like you said, somebody like Sammy, or maybe it is Brodie Lee. He's been very impressive singles wise, and that would be a nice throwback to the Wyatt Family Shield days. Just a new take in 2020, with now both of them being at their certain points in their individual careers in AEW. What about Shawn?
Do you think MJF is ready? What do you think about who?
Shawn Spears. I mean, they've been really hyping him up. Like he's been winning matches left and right.
I know. I love Shawn Spears. I love his gimmick. I love his work. But he was kind of missing. He was lost in translation for a while. Now he's back because, again, I think they're with a limited roster, and they're going to take whoever they can get right now during those tapings, which had already happened. But I would love Shawn Spears in a main event program with anybody, but I'm not too sure that's going to happen. No offense to him. I just don't think that's going to happen. And realistically, JD, would you buy that Shawn Spears is going to beat Jon Moxley?
No, I wouldn't. I would not buy a pay-per-view main evented by Shawn Spears. I'm sorry, but maybe it's Wardlow. Maybe it's Warlow. Maybe they tie the MJF storyline into a match with Wardlow at the pay-per-view, and that's who was up next in a match against a Georgia enhancement talent, Musa and Wardlow. I don't need to tell you how this match went. Wardlow absolutely destroyed this guy in about 2 minutes. I love the little excerpt on AEW Dynamite tonight above his nameplate. It said he's, I think the last 3 matches he's won, or the last 2 matches he's won combined in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So that's how dominant Wardlow has been. And I know our buddy LeBar was big on Wardlow. I think Justin got that one right. I've been very impressed by Wardlow. What do you think?
Yeah, Justin managed Wardlow and told me about, I want to say it was 3 years ago. He's like, watch for this guy, and he was spot on. And great guy, phenomenal talent, and he's built like a brick shit house. And I think he's going to run through AEW's roster. I think where you're going is very smart with the whole, well, maybe MJF could use him and he could get in a world title program. The only problem with that is that MJF's going to have to cost Wardlow the title because that's what ultimately what MJF wants. And then that would make you're hot-shotting it, and Wardlow's not, you don't want that to break up yet. So I think that's a build, but that's like a 4 or 5 or 6 month build that I could see happening. But Wardlow is going to be a star, and he's got that pure power, and he's believable. Everyone wants to talk about how stars walking through an airport, and that's the big WWE moniker. Back in the day it was, well, if they walk through an airport, you're going to know who the hell they are. You know who Wardlow is. So he's got the look, I mean, I think Shivani said that on TV too. He's everything you would want as a professional wrestler.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I actually had a couple of people text me during the show tonight because I made a mention on last week's podcast. I don't know why I thought about it. First of all, when I watched this match, I don't know if you watched the movie, the original Mortal Kombat. Have you watched the original Mortal Kombat movie?
When I was a kid, probably once, yes.
It reminded me tonight with Wardlow. It reminded me of that scene in the original Mortal Kombat movie where I forgot the fucking scene. It's when that token black guy just comes out and he gets destroyed by the fucking guy with 4 arms, and then he offers him up to Shang Tsung. That's what I thought about when I seen. I don't know why the fuck I thought about that particular.
He's just
scene.
A beast. I totally understand what you're saying. He's just
he's just got that like you said, he's got that presence. You look at him, you know he's a pro wrestler. And I mentioned this last week on my Dynamite review. For some reason, I thought Ryback in his early stages when he was before he was buried and before he got that match with CM Punk inside Hell in a Cell, I thought he was really, really great. They had something special in Ryback. I get early Ryback feels with Wardlow just in presence, in look.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Ryback get a major push right after WrestleMania 29? Wasn't he out basically challenging John Cena?
At the end of the show? I'm not totally sure. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Ryback was, in my opinion, we should have been pushed to the moon, but he just didn't translate, I guess. I don't know why. And my biggest concern with Wardlow is, or my not a concern, is a question is, why the hell wasn't WWE on this guy? He's everything Vince McMahon loves, right?
You would think so, yeah. But the thing is, AEW needed someone like this more so than WWE did because, AEW had started to develop this vanilla midget here, vanilla midget there. Everybody does tope and this fucking move and that fucking. It's like everybody started doing the same thing. Everybody started to be generalized into the same category. So for them going out and getting a Lance Archer and a Brodie Lee, and then you got Warlow on television now. You see what he does, and hopefully Brian Cage comes in after all the rumors about him before he was hurt. I think they're on the right track, and I think AEW needs to start signing people like this. To be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think Rusev and the Revival are next.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not breaking any news here, but I think if you're going to say, all right, Drew, predict 4 people who are going to sign with AEW, I'm going Zack Ryder, Rusev, and the Revival, and I think sooner rather than later.
I'm going to add Deonna Purrazzo to that list too.
Yeah, fantastic talent, and she was supposed to be at All In before she pulled out, correct?
She was in the original All In, and then All Out happened. I'm not sure if she was in that battle royal. Remember, there was a women's battle royal during that pre-show, but I'm not sure if she was in that or not. But I think with the floundering women's division that they have and WWE just willingly letting somebody that good go, I think she could fit like a glove there and actually be the face of that division if they wanted her to.
Absolutely. And, everyone's clamoring for Gallows and Anderson, but I think they're destined for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So sorry, guys, but
yeah, I could see. I could see them do.
I just don't see that happen. They might end up
them in AEW, and then maybe having them do select dates over New Japan. I think that's what the Revival are going to do. But AEW can't spread the wealth for everybody. They can't hand out the contracts to everybody. So if I'm going to take one or the other, I'm taking the Revival over Gallows and Anderson. That's just me.
Yeah, and they were in Being the Elite. There was a little bit of a teaser in the sky. So I think the Revival's basically all but signed.
Yeah,
so
I think so too. I think they do end up in NWA. What do you think about that? Maybe a small stint in NWA, get their feet wet, and then priority AEW?
Well, I think that the AEW contracts, which I'm not 100% sure on, allow you to take indie bookings, but I'm not sure they're going to allow the other television when NWA Power gets back up. But I think Gallows and Anderson could show up at NWA Power. Yes, I think they're a possibility. But I unless the Revival has worked something out where they're going to do AEW or NWA first, then AEW, then yeah, I could see that happening. But if they go to AEW first, I can't see them on NWA Power. No.
Tag team division's going to be stacked even more so. I can't wait. Jericho and his Bubbly Bunch. This has been a very entertaining aspect of Dynamite. We got the Flim Flam last week, and they continued to build upon that this week. Jericho was on a stationary exercise bike, claiming that he won the Flim Flam contest. We all know that Sammy G destroyed Jericho last week. So Sammy was roaming his backyard without a shirt on, of course. And then they cut to Jericho's 3 dogs. Santana, Ortiz, and Jake Hager chimed in. They decided to fight it all out. And then they had a virtual fight, each one hitting their camera lens on their phone in various ways. We've seen the Librarian, Sonny Kiss, Jungle Boy swinging from a vine. We've seen Jericho's dad. We've seen Virgil without the $1 Million Championship. Vicky Guerrero was there. We've seen Jay and Silent Bob. I think I seen Lou Ferrigno was there with a cattle prod. We've seen Corey Taylor from Slipknot and a variety of other people. What do you think of these Bubbly Bunch segments with the Inner Circle?
Well, I think anybody who has a problem with WWE bringing entertainers or actors into their, foray of talent or something for a show needs to slow down, because AEW is doing it too. They had Gabriel Iglesias. You're right. They had Corey Taylor. And I'm almost positive that Corey Taylor does the NXT theme song. So I don't know how well that's going to go over. And then it ended with...
Think about that. When I was watching, I'm like, is that fucking Corey Taylor? And then, yeah. That's the opening theme for NXT. I mean, they got some balls on them over there in AEW. They don't give a shit. I guess that ties into Jericho's rock and roll, VIP list.
I liked it. It was entertaining, man. It was very entertaining. Like, this is sports entertainment, and it's professional wrestling. I know AEW is professional wrestling, and they do a very good job of the professional wrestling part. But the sports entertainment thing is great for me. I love when they do that type of stuff.
Well, if they take Slipknot out of NXT and fucking put in Nickelback, then you know what? Then you know how petty they are.
I don't think that's going to happen. Nickelback doesn't seem like it's on Triple H's radar there, Jesus. So hopefully not.
Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian, who they call him super bad. I think he's super lame. Penelope Ford is not super lame, even though I don't like the way they're treating her. I think she's destined for a lot if they actually want to use her, but they got her in this just remedial role with Kip Sabian against the best friends Trent, Chuck T, and Orange Cassidy. This was a match in which everybody legitimately beat the shit out of each other. I seen things here in an empty arena that A, I didn't think I'd see, and B, I don't think was completely necessary. Chaos completely. Trent and Sabian, they worked the match early on. Havoc threw a chair at Orange Cassidy's head, took him out. Cassidy went backstage. Wasn't sure if he was busted open or not. It looked like to me he was busted open on the lip. Havoc superplexed Taylor on a pile of chairs on the floor. Trent speared Havoc on the floor. Havoc then used a ladder and hit a slingshot on Trent into the ladder. The ladder did not appear to be a gimmick WWE-like ladder. It looked like a legit ladder. So that was that. Didn't break until very late in the match. Trent and Chucky T threw chairs at Havoc's head, and then they did their hugging spot. Havoc pulled Trent off the top rope onto the ladder, which looked pretty devastating. Taylor hit a pile driver on Sabian onto a pile of chairs. Taylor then went for a cover, but Ford gets into all of his matches, Kip Sabian's matches, pulled him out of the cover. So that was that. Cassidy came out again from the back and ran down to the ring. He topped Havoc from sending Taylor through a ladder. Ford accidentally hit a knee strike and a spear to Sabian as Penelope Ford tried to hit Cassidy. Cassidy then hit a dive off the top turnbuckle onto Ford and Sabian. And then we seen the finish with Taylor hitting. I don't know what the hell he hit. I think it was, what the hell did he hit? I forgot the name of the move. It was a pile driver-like move on top of Havoc onto the chairs, and that was pretty much it. 1, 2, 3 for the pin. What'd you think of this chaos during this match?
It reminded me a lot of like the WWE hardcore days and ECW, just where there was chairs and high spots and all this other stuff. And people love this all over Twitter. I saw, and the reception was great. So wasn't my cup of tea. I love that Orange Cassidy got blasted and his sunglasses stayed on.
Yeah.
Jericho touched on that. Jericho is gold on the mic. I mean, I know they're going to go back to Taz and Jim Ross, and I love that, and Shivani. But Jericho, man, is fantastic. But the match was what it was. I mean, for me, I'll be honest with you, it did nothing for me. But they're all talented performers, and they took a lot of risks there that they didn't need to take in front of no audience. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I feel like AEW has kind of, with Jimmy Havoc and with guys like Darby Allin, and then we haven't.
They're the same friggin' guy, aren't they? Essentially, I mean, with the gimmicks, like they need to switch them up.
Well, I don't know what Jimmy Havoc's gimmick is. Every time I shit on Jimmy Havoc, people are like, "Oh man, you got to watch his indie work." I'm like, I don't give a fuck about his indie work.
He's not in the indies anymore. Right, he's not in the indies anymore.
What brought you to the dance is not going to work at this fucking ballroom. Okay, that's what I usually say. So Correct. It's like, same thing happened with Joey Janela. You're not going to get Joey Janela to do his fucking dives off balconies in AEW. You can't do that every match. You got to show me that you're a legitimate pro wrestler. What I was going to say is that I feel like they haven't done a lot of this hardcore shit in AEW for a little bit, and the fact that they actually did what they did tonight, it almost felt a little fresh to me because we haven't seen it in a long time. But I'm with you, man. I can't get into these guys. I like the Best Friends are fine. I think they're a great tag team, and I think Trent is a fantastic wrestler. But the storyline obviously was for the time being in the empty arenas, and then when we go live, this is all going to come to an end, and hopefully we start seeing the Lucha Bros and Pac and whatever was going on there with the Best Friends before we got, this stay-at-home shit. But I hope everybody just kind of comes back to work, and we start to see the rosters grow a little bit instead of just using these who's on hand for AEW Dynamite during these tapings,
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that tag team division, when everyone gets back and they add a couple more pieces, boy, oh boy, WWE's tag division's in for a rude awakening because AEW's tag division is going to blow them out of the water.
Absolutely. Can't wait. NXT, speaking of tag team divisions, man, I got to ask you because being that you mentioned tag team wrestling, what about those Malcolm Bivens guys, those two big Indian guys? What do you think? Have you seen them on NXT yet?
I have. They have the look. They have a good mouthpiece.
They have the look. They look like two Jinder Mahals to me, and we don't need any more Jinder Mahals on TV.
It's almost like NXT's version of AOP.
Yeah,
that's the best. With a little bit of a different gimmick. I think that we need to really get away with this. I said this to you at All Out. I think it was that's the thing we did together, and the Lucha Bros, Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. For my money, there's nobody better in the world right now than those two. So as a tag team, and we haven't seen a lot of them, but man, oh man, and that's nothing against the Young Bucks, nothing against the New Day, nothing against the Revival, but the Lucha Bros are fantastic tag team, and Pentagon Jr. could be a world champion on his own. So
absolutely. I mean, I'm with you there. When the Revival, I guess they're the Revolt now, according to the rumors. When they come in, you're going to see them and the Lucha Brothers, man. That's a money tag team match. Yeah,
it's a dream match, right? Everyone always talks about it.
After the Bucks, that's the one I want to see.
Yeah, I don't think they'll hotshot the Bucks, but I think that dream match, right, what you're saying right there, the Lucha Bros versus the Revolt is another dream match. I think they'll save the Revolt versus the Young Bucks for probably All Out, or maybe Rebellion or Revolution or whatever the heck they're calling it in January or whatever. But I could see the Revival's going to make, or the Revolt, excuse me, is going to make a huge impact, no pun intended, on this tag team division.
Can't wait. Those guys should be. Those guys should be there. I would say at all out. I think they make obviously can't be Double or Nothing because they don't have 9. Actually, no, they don't have 90 days, do they? They were completely.
Right, and you got to remember, for all you goons out there, the Revival and the Revolt are two different, entities right now. The Revival is dead in the water. The Revolt, they could sign whenever. They could show up at next week's Dynamite because they are no longer taped. Dynamite is now live.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Well, maybe they show up at Double or Nothing. Who the hell knows? Hopefully.
They could.
Hopefully. Britt Baker. Everybody's favorite role model. My buddy Jesse loves Britt Baker so much that he's compared her to Eva Marie. Now, I don't know if I go that far.
That's a terrible comparison, Jesse.
Well,
I like you, Jesse.
Why don't you? He's looking at you. I'm sure he's going to be watching this. Why don't you tell him that he's over-exaggerating, please?
Well, I think Britt Baker is a fantastic talent. She's getting better on the mic. She needs a little bit of work in the ring, and I'm sure she'll get there. But Eva Marie and Britt Baker are on two different sides of the spectrum, and I think you should shoot further than Eva Marie, and I think Britt Baker will. But her promos have been great, but no, not there yet.
Yeah, in these doses, I can handle Britt Baker. She said
You don't like Britt?
Say again?
You don't like Britt Baker?
No, I didn't like Britt Baker, but as soon as she turned heel and we've seen week after week after week her kind of grow into the role, I'm actually enjoying her a lot more than I expected to. So
yeah, I think she's going to have a good mentor there with the person she's living with, and I think he will help her immensely. He will go unnamed, but everyone knows who it is. But I think Britt Baker is going to be a major player here in AEW shortly. I think the promos, if you look at any of the talent that ever gets over in professional wrestling, one of the first things that people notice is, can you talk on the stick? And she has recently. She has really been able to talk. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, if there's anybody that you're going to learn off of, it's the man who's the NXT champion right now, who, by the way, I don't want to reveal any spoiler. I don't think this is a spoiler. I think everybody kind of knows this as common knowledge right now. Next week, it's Dream versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Does he lose
Which
it?
is interesting.
Does he lose it?
Which is so interesting with all the drama surrounding Velveteen Dream, which I'm not going to touch on. But man, oh man,
you can touch on it if you want. I mean, all I will say is, Enzo was innocent and is in his situation. Everybody wants to cancel Dream for some reason. I don't know why. I don't believe he did anything. I think he would be I think he knows the position that he's in. I think he knows what he could be in that company, given the circumstances. But why would he go out there and risk himself? And please, can we just find out all the information first before we try and cancel one of the best up-and-coming talents in the business, please?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that America is now, you are, proven guilty until you're innocent. Yeah. And it's like, hey, wait a second. Like, no, give the guy a chance. Let him figure it out. This is a serious accusation, number one. If he is bisexual or gay, that's his preference. It's none of your business. And that shouldn't deter you from being a fan. He is a fantastic talent. But yes, let's pump the brakes a little bit. But I think it's very interesting. I think WWE has really shown that, hey, we have your back here if you're telling me it's false. And trust me, the WWE gathers all their information before they go promote a man to be in their main event for one of their biggest championships. So case might be closed. Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what I said when I seen the tweet tonight by the NXT account on Twitter. I think that WWE, they're pretty much in sync with what's going on, and they wouldn't be giving him that opportunity if they found it to be legit. So, they're going ahead with it, and they might as well. I think they feel the same way as we do. It's kind of bullshit right now, so, they're going ahead with it. I think he does win it, but I don't want to see him win it just for the same reasons that you don't want to see MJF win the World Championship, because I don't think it's the right moment to do it in our current circumstance right now. I think Dream should win it in front of a live audience, somewhat of a live audience. I don't think next week is the time to do it.
I agree with you. Maybe SummerSlam's takeover.
Yeah. Speaking of Britt Baker, she was giving everyone a tour of her dental office. This was great. I thought this was great. She had a makeup artist applying makeup. She told her to make her look the absolute best. Her makeup artist was interviewed off camera. Her name was Rebel, and I think she was calling her Reba, if I'm not mistaken. She didn't seem to like working with Baker whatsoever. Baker pulled her aside and told her to refer to her always as Dr. Britt Baker. She also told her that if she wants her big break, to do exactly what they had discussed for this interview. Her makeup artist then raved about how great it was, and she was very overly sarcastic and just, very, very not genuine. And she called Britt Baker a role model. Baker then presented another segment on the rules of being a role model. She said it was backed by popular demand on social media. She said she learned in her early life that not everyone could be a role model. She said, if you are not a doctor, don't wear glasses. Then she showed Tony Schiavone. She also said that you can't be a role model if you're fat. Once again, she showed Tony Schiavone fat, and then they altered it, photoshopped it to, erase his big gut, which he doesn't have because he's been actually looking pretty damn good, Tony Schiavone, for his age. She also said if you don't aesthetically have nice teeth, don't smile because it's uncomfortable for everyone. And then Baker obviously showed a terrible-looking tooth on Tony Schiavone, her best friend, and said that some were born to be a role model by showing others what not to be or how to act. So they're continuing the relationship there between Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone. I think Britt is really kind of just playing the heel role very well, and maybe she becomes the AEW Women's Champion sooner rather than later. Nyla Rose has been absent, but they seem to be big on Britt Baker right now. So what do you think that means for her moving forward?
Yeah, she's getting a lot of airtime, and I think, the devil's always in the details with that. She's getting a ton of airtime, so probably, their women's division needs a major overhaul, and why not start with Britt, because the other talent on that women's roster is, subpar at best. Sorry, but it's the truth.
It is. I say it all the time. It's one part of the show I shit on weekly. So they've been better as of late. I'm a big fan of Hikaru Shida, but I don't know what they do with the Women's Championship. I guess we'll find out when they go live next week with Nyla Rose in the Women's Championship. Could end up being a multi-woman match going into Double or Nothing, but we'll find out probably as soon as next week. Shawn Spears versus someone that I think is better than Baron Corbin, Baron Black. Baron Black. Oh, 3 minutes. Fuck Baron Corbin. He fucking blocked me on social media for
well, that's probably because you were shit talking him.
You're
probably shit talking him.
Of course I was, but at least I know he's listening. So
Well, he's talented, man. I'm not sticking up for him because he blocked you. I could care less about that. I mean, I know you could too, but Baron Corbin's talented, and he's also he's been given a major push. I know I'm going to get killed on this YouTube clip for this by your fans, but Baron Corbin is super talented. Sorry.
In what way?
Well, he's a former NFL. I mean, he played NFL football, which is more than anybody else in these friggin' comments could say, number one. Number two, he also was a Golden Gloves boxer from what I've read. I haven't seen any of that stuff, so I would have to believe that to be factual. And he does things in the ring that nine out of 10 wrestlers can't do. I mean, he makes it look easy. That's what everyone's problem is that it comes so easy to Baron Corbin. And again, I don't know Baron. I don't know if Baron watches. It seems like he is because you got blocked unless somebody ratted you out, and I can't stand that on Twitter where they're
That's
like,
probably the case.
Hey, right, exactly. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think Baron Corbin watches anything besides what he likes, and I don't think he's going to watch two idiots talk about professional wrestling. But anyways, he is super talented, and the WWE wouldn't invest this much time and effort into somebody like him if they didn't think he was remotely talented. And he is an athlete. I mean, everybody crapped on The Rock, Rocky Maivia. I remember when I was a kid. You were a kid too, right? You hated that guy. Blue Chipper, he was terrible, right? Couldn't stand him. Now look where he is. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying you got to give these guys a little bit. Don't just bury him immediately.
All I will say about Baron Corbin is that the one positive about Baron Corbin is that he's got the best finishing move in the WWE. I love the end of days. Shawn Spears and Baron Black. This one went 3 minutes. I mean, what did you expect here? Shawn Spears wins with the C4, followed up by a sharpshooter. Nice Bret Hart reference by Chris Jericho on commentary. Black tapped out. And Shawn Spears wins another match. Like you said before, I think it's just whoever was on hand here. Shawn Spears got the lucky hand. They showcase him in a very positive way during these tape shows. And he got some wins under his belt. What it amounts to, I don't know. But I do think that he will factor eventually if he continues to show AEW and Tony Khan and AEW management how, I guess, valuable he is and the type of hand he is. I do think I could see him in that AEW TNT Championship title picture eventually. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I love Shawn Spears. I think he was super talented in WWE. He got over quick there in NXT. He looks like $1 million. I love the sharpshooter. I hate to see it because it was done by, the one and only, that's the best wrestler on the planet that ever lived was Bret the Hitman Hart. And, I love Shawn Spears. I love the fact that he's using it. And I think Shawn Spears is tailor-made for a TNT championship run if he keeps getting this airtime. And like you said, he's a reliable hand. So that goes a long way in professional wrestling. You're available, you're on, and you could go. You might get the gold.
We've seen clips of Taz. Now, I don't know what your opinion is on these clips. I actually like this. I mentioned the week that they did it, that AEW should have continued doing the top fives for the tag team and the main event scene and the women's scene. The rankings, I think they had Excalibur narrate over it. I don't know why they did away with that. They did it that one week. I thought it was a fantastic addition to the show. I've really been loving these Taz narrations where he kind of does it almost in a football NFL style, going over move for move breakdown of a certain aspect of said wrestler's repertoire. In this case, it was Lance Archer's big blackout finisher. What do you think of these narrations, and is this something that you want to see on regular weekly AEW Dynamite television?
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. I tweeted it, I think, 3 weeks ago, and I think you did as well. I really loved that segment of AEW Dynamite when they went through the women's, the tag, and the men's singles rankings. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was unique. I thought it's something that no other company is really showcasing. And this Taz thing is awesome. It brings me back to my elementary school days when you would sit back and watch ESPN and they would have highlights from NFL films. That's exactly what vibes I got from this, and I love it. And it's good use of Taz because he's not traveling right now, so great use of Taz here.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him back on commentary. And I keep saying I hope things get back to normal. I think the team of Shivani and Jericho has been great, but I kind of miss Jim Ross. I kind of miss Excalibur.
Everybody does. Everybody does, JD. Jim Ross is the best wrestling announcer, and I know he doesn't like people saying that, and I've said it to him before because he's a big Gordon Soley guy, but Jim Ross is the best ever. Sorry, Jim.
You think Jim Ross is the best? I don't know. It's either him or Monsoon to me. I don't know.
Monsoon's a great pick. I mean, the tandem of Monsoon and Heenan was fantastic. I know people again might crap on me here, but I really like Jesse the Body and Vince McMahon. They were great.
Yeah, Jesse was fantastic. I mean, there's never going to be another Jesse, but Gorilla Monsoon just brings me back, and we could talk about this for hours. Gorilla Monsoon just brings me back. Every time I hear his voice, it's like, it's like you being a child and your mom or dad reading you a bedtime story when you were young. It's like every time I hear him, it's just like, I don't give a shit what's going on in the world. I just let me listen to Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain and call a match,
Do you remember those 95, 96, 97 builds to matches that had Todd Pettengill doing like the voiceovers? Those were like riveting. And then they had that voice guy. I don't know his name, but he always did like the openings for the WWF pay-per-views. Yep. And it was just
the same guy you heard on the movies when you seen a big movie coming attraction or a big movie package for like something that's coming out in the theaters. It was that guy.
Yeah, it was fantastic. If AEW could find that guy or the guy who used to do the WCW intros, go get him, because that would just that would click.
Yeah, you don't see that nowadays. I mean, they're doing their own thing. We can't bring everything back from the old school to the new school, but it's fun.
No, but it fun
to reminisce.
It feel like a fight. Made it feel like a fight. I remember like as a kid watching that and be like, is Shawn gonna get killed? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like they don't do that anymore. They don't.
Yeah. Speaking of killed, that was a nice segue. Brodie Lee, Marko Stunt, 3 minutes. I mean, Brodie Lee is doing his thing as the Exalted McMahon. That's what I've been calling it. The Exalted McMahon, the Exalted One, to take on his version of Vince McMahon. I think it's great. I think it's they might not like it, but I enjoy him just shitting on Vince McMahon in the ways that he was shit on and just bringing it to light about how that company really acts and what goes on behind the scenes. Marko didn't really get as much offense here. I think he got more offense against Lance Archer than he did against Brodie Lee, but this one ended with a huge one-arm slam. I still think he's swinging, and then a sit-out powerbomb that, I mean, if Marko Stunt didn't put his hands behind his head at the end of that fucking move, he would have been fucking knocked out into oblivion. Absolutely unbelievable sit-out powerbomb. Brodie Lee wins. What are you thinking about Brodie Lee? Is the gimmick of the Exalted One working for you? And I don't know. Where does he go from here?
Yeah, okay, the gimmick works. It 100% works. Brodie Lee is a missed opportunity by WWE, and shame on them, because all they saw was some hillbilly who could, grow his hair out to look like he was, balding and all that other stuff, and just shame on them for that. But is it working? Yes. I really wish he would drop the McMahonisms. Not that he gives a crap about what Vince or the WWE thinks about him, but I would really like to see him come into his own and do his own type of like thing with the Exalted One, where it's not just this is Vince McMahon, but it's a spoof. And we saw this already. We saw it in TNA. I mean, it wasn't the Exalted One, but Road Dogg and Billy did like their whole VKN stuff, and they were, to me, it's overdone. It doesn't need to be said. Nobody really needs. Somebody will write a book one day where they give all the ins and outs of Vince McMahon if it hasn't already been written, and that's where you'll see everything. But Brodie should continue to be the killer that he is. The Marko Stunt thing, I don't have a problem with Marko. I think he's a fantastic talent, and I think he sells, but I'm getting tired of watching him be fed to these monsters. It does not. I almost want to like turn the channel, and it has nothing to do with Brodie Lee, because he's fantastic, but him and Archer taking on Marko Stunt, I get it. I totally get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand what they're doing. I don't need booking 101 here. I get it. Trust me. But in 2020, I'm okay with not seeing that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the same way. As far as the Exalted One and the Dark Order, it seems like, in my honest opinion, I feel, and I wish things were normal. I would love to see how the reaction would be and the direction and what the direction would be with the Dark Order in a live setting. If this CV-19 thing never broke and we had things happen the way that Tony Khan had intended them to happen with Brodie Lee, it makes
what do you think would be different
if in Rochester when he came out, what the reception would be and what the direction for the Dark Order would be. I heard a lot of fantasy booking on social media with the Dark Order, with the release of all those WWE superstars on Black Wednesday. People fantasizing about maybe, oh, No Way Jose comes and joins the Dark Order, or a Zack Ryder, or a Heath Slater, or a Kurt Hawkins, or something like that. Do you see something like that happening where they add ex-WWE disgruntled stars into the Dark Order to fit that Vince McMahon character and play off the Vince McMahon isms? Or do you think that they do add somebody else or a couple of people to the group and it's not someone that we're anticipating or expecting from Black Wednesday? What about they add the Ascension to the Dark Order? I think they would fit in the Dark Order.
Absolutely. That's a brilliant move there. I think that they being AEW should really stay away from capturing a bunch of WWE talent just to put them in this Dark Order gimmick. You said you think it would be different with a crowd. What makes you think it would be different? Like, how would you have, like, what do you think would be different with Brodie Lee and what they're doing? Because basically it's just vignettes and him coming out murdering people.
Well,
what do you think would be different?
What the reception was like? We haven't seen Brodie Lee in front of a live audience yet because he wanted to legitimately work. He said I don't know if it was on Talk of Jericho or if it was with somebody else that he sat down and did an interview with, or it might have been Wrestling Inc. I'm not sure, but he wanted to work. Tony Khan asked him, do you want to come and work these tapings? Because we're taping a whole bunch of television during this pandemic. And, he's like, no, I want to work. I want to, rid myself of the ring rust. I've been sitting around doing nothing. I want to come to work. The difference is, or from what I'm trying to explain, how he would be received with a live audience. Would it be like, oh my God, it's Brodie Lee. Oh my God, he's the exalted one. Or is it something that you could have seen, I guess, start off hot and then kind of fizzle away like the Dark Order has been doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Brodie, if they're going to recruit people, I think the Ascension, man, what a coup that would be, just to have them be, lackeys. And that's another tag team division, a tag team piece they could add to their division. I think it's a genius move. But I mean, a guy like Rusev or something like that, or Hawkins and Ryder, no. No Way Jose, no. Primo and Epico, no. I can't, no. Stay away from that stuff, because then you want to know what you're going to become. And AEW has done a very good job of not becoming that as WCW.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what Brodie Lee does with the Dark Order stuff. I've been enjoying his domination as of late, because I was a big fan of the guy back in WWE, and I hope that we start to see him kind of mold into what I knew he could be in WWE under AEW. Jon Moxley, someone that I want to see Brodie Lee go one-on-one against, just because of the history that both of these guys have with each other. I think it would be a great match, and I think their styles mesh very well. AEW World Champion hasn't been there. He says it's only been 8 weeks ago. He was celebrating winning the AEW title in front of a sea of fans. It seems like a lifetime ago. He said now fans are watching them safely at home and thank them for that. He said one day they will be all together again and he'll be bleeding and swearing in a sea of fans once again. He said now it's a good time to reflect on things you're thankful for. He said he's thankful for his wife, who apparently got heat because Moxley showed up on backstage on FS1 a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure how legit that was, but I don't know what type of heat she has. She's not even on fucking TV. But because it takes a hell of a woman to be stuck in a house with me for weeks on end, he says he's thankful for steel chairs. He says he's thankful for AEW being live next week. So we got confirmation on that. He said he'll be live at AEW Dynamite next week. He's loading up his dogs in his truck. He's got some Metallica CDs. Hopefully it's nothing post-1991 Metallica, because that's not for me. Anything Black Album before is good to go. He says he's loading his dogs, some Metallica CDs, into his car, going to drive to Dynamite. He says he's a big target in AEW with Double or Nothing coming up. He told everybody to remember that when you step up to the world champion, you do at your own risk. He encouraged everyone to be a good neighbor and support local businesses by ordering take out. And don't forget to call your grandmother. And that's the way they ended the segment. I have not called my grandmother, but I've ordered plenty of takeout to support local businesses. What'd you think of this segment? Moxley being the world champion. I know we discussed this earlier. If you had to choose somebody, if you were booking, not Dynamite, but Double or Nothing, who is he going up against and defending that world title against at Double or Nothing?
Well, first of all, call your grandmother, and everybody call your grandmother, call your mother. See if they're all right. If you don't live with them, I'm sure some of your... Nah, never mind. How do I book this? I like I said, I know if people might be like, it's too early. I like Guevara here. I like Guevara representing Jericho, saying and having Jericho in Guevara's corner against Moxley. They would put on a good match, and then Moxley retains. Guevara and Jericho the cracks further. And then I think that, maybe those two have a match at All Out. That them being Guevara and Jericho, maybe that Inner Circle is done by September, because at the end of the day, another 4 months of this, it might run its course with the Inner Circle. And I'm not saying it'll totally be disbanded, but I would say Guevara is a star on his own, so better now than later.
Yeah, I could see the Inner Circle. I could see the Inner Circle breaking up after the Blood and Guts match, which I think if it would have happened in the time that it was designated to happen, I think we would be seeing the end of the Inner Circle already. But as far as the match for Double or Nothing, I do think that Sammy G would fit into that role nicely there. With the pay-per-view coming up, it just seems like we have Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho kind of destined to go one-on-one at the pay-per-view. I'm not sure if that's going to be a standard one-on-one match there live, or it's going to be a gimmick match, like a cinematic match, because I know they teased that, which, I mean, I'm for, but I'm also against, because WWE's kind of running them type of matches into the ground, and I'm sure we're going to see 2 more cinematic matches at Money in the Bank. But as far as that goes, Sammy G, I could see, I don't know, man.
You wouldn't like to see Jericho and Matt Hardy in an Ultimate Deletion match?
No, I would. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they can make. I think they can make it very entertaining. That's not even a question. But
yeah, now would be the time, because once you get fans into an arena and they advertise Jericho versus Matt Hardy, that's a match where I'm going to sit down and watch from start to finish. Yeah. So I would hope that if they want to do something with Ultimate Deletion or a match at the Hardy compound, maybe it's the Inner Circle versus Matt and the Young Bucks, and maybe then there's a revival. Who knows? I would do that now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. MJF's returning next week. He's always in the discussion for the World Championship because he's undefeated. We have Kazarian and Jon Moxley next week. Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy versus the Les Sex Gods. That's what they call themselves. I'm not making that up. Jericho and Sammy Guevara in a street fight. The Tag Team Championships going into Double or Nothing. What do you think? Kenny and Hangman, if he shows up next week, he should show up. It's live. Who do you think they defend the titles against at Double or Nothing? Is it a rematch against the Young Bucks, or do we see another team take the reins? The Dark Order is number 1. Do we see them against the Dark Order?
Man, what a spot to maybe throw the Revival in just to grab some more pay-per-view buys.
Yeah. I could
I
see
mean,
it.
Yeah, unless they're going to save them for a run-in or something. I mean, yeah, the Dark Order, maybe, Harper tags with another member of the Dark Order, and I know they have a tag team, but you could, put Harper as the main point of that match and have them win the belts, because I think Omega and Hangman need to go on their own. Hangman's another fantastic talent who is ready. He just they haven't had enough matches for him yet due to the, COVID-19, but he's ready.
Oh yeah, he's with this gimmick and this beer shit. He's been ready. I'm loving it, and again, I can't wait to see what they do next week going into Double or Nothing. Finally, the main event.
I think they're going to get 1 million. I really do. I think they'll get 900,000 to 1 million views next week. That card is stacked.
Ooh, AEW?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
I mean, NXT's pretty stacked. What, they got like 4 title matches next week?
Yeah, and that's done by design. But I mean, I think realistically, like, you get Matt Hardy back. I mean, you got to remember, we've seen Dream, we've seen Adam Cole, we've seen, Charlotte Flair. We haven't seen Matt Hardy. We haven't seen Kenny Omega. Besides, last week we saw him, but their appearances have been sporadic. So I think AEW's, and the way I might get a lot of heat for this, but the way AEW does television with the no fans is far superior than what WWE's been doing recently. So they got to figure something out. And them being the WWE, because AEW is just going to keep kicking and kicking and kicking.
Well, the fact of the matter is, I mean, when you got fucking Tom Phillips on NXT and you got Byron Saxton on NXT, it's like I'm watching Monday Night Raw. I don't want to hear them fucking clowns.
Well, I mean, I'm saying that, AEW Dynamite, the crowd and the feel and the production, obviously is not the $1 million, or hundreds of millions of dollars that they spend, since the inception, the production-wise for the WWE. But I think AEW does a better job sometimes than Raw and SmackDown. With the no crowd, I'm talking.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, but I feel like some weeks, hasn't been all weeks, that NXT has the better in-ring product. Like last week, for example.
Yeah, last week,
I thought last
100%.
week was great in-ring for
and
NXT,
they lost.
and then AEW kind of floundered. But I knew they were going to set up for this week, and this week was. I haven't watched NXT yet, but I can imagine that this week was better than NXT. That's just me.
Yeah, NXT was kind of lackluster this week. And it was good, but it wasn't as good as AEW. And like you said, last week I thought NXT blew Dynamite out of the water, and Dynamite smashed them. So there you go.
Well, I think we're both in agreement on the no crowd. I mean, NXT suffers, dude, because of the no. I mean, both of them suffer, period. But I mean, the lack of energy in the crowd that is so fucking dominant on these shows. It's like, man, you're watching this shit. It's like the crowd is like 90% of the reason why we watch this shit. And we watch this, and it's like, Jesus Christ, I just got through 3 hours a Monday Night Raw. I can't watch this shit. You know, no matter how good the in-ring stuff is, no matter how many Adam Coles are on the show, I don't give a shit who's there.
You're a big fan of NXT. So what changed? Like what made your wheels,
energy,
go?
It's the energy, and no Moro. No Moro kills it for me. Right. You know, I can't listen to Tom Phillips is not bad. I don't hate Tom Phillips. Michael Cole can be good in doses, but I mean, no Moro there. It kills the whole vibe of the show.
Yeah, I think Beth and Moro do a fantastic job. You know? That's nothing against Nigel, but I think Beth and Moro do a fantastic job.
Moving on to the main event of the show, Lance Archer, the real monster among men. I don't know how you feel about that, but Braun Strowman's got to go. I know you got buddies of yours that are big on Braun Strowman. I will not name.
Oh, LeBar loves that. I don't care. Hey, LeBar, the guy has been all over. Justin has been all over Braun Strowman for like 4 years, and
he must have been tickled pink when he won the world championship.
Oh God, the text.
He's like, I told you.
Yeah, the text messages. I know, and I said you told me, 2 years ago at SummerSlam. I mean, and it didn't happen. You know what? Well, good for Braun. I'm with you, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, Lance Archer, the real monster among men, defeated Dustin Rhodes with Brandy. He is now in the finals of the TNT Championship Tournament. But by the way, we have not seen, well, I haven't seen, I don't know if you've seen a picture of the championship yet. I'm not even sure if it's made as of this moment, but Lance Archer is in the finals.
I've heard it's Milliken made.
Say again?
I heard it's Milliken made.
Ah, okay. Well, I haven't seen anything yet. I think I'll be surprised at the pay-per-view. So we picked up with Lance Archer, Dustin in the ring. This one was completely one-sided. Dustin tried his best to make a comeback here, the babyface comeback. He fired up, hit a series of rapid strikes. He hit his Shattered Dreams. I still call it Shattered Dreams. He calls it the last shot now in the corner, which I guess is... I don't know how you feel about Aubrey Edwards, but I got to mention this being that I've seen 2 instances here, and then the water bottle incidents with Cody and Darby in the beginning. Aubrey
Be careful,
Edwards, she
JD.
just lets everything go. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, no, she does. You know what, though? I think that's probably direction from the back. I think, I've listened to a lot of her talk on the podcast that she does, or it's like a video thing or whatever that AEW does, and she says that Tony Khan's in her ear a lot, so maybe they're giving her direction not to do that. But yes, you do get away with a lot with Aubrey Edwards in the ring. Yes.
Well, I haven't listened to that podcast yet, so that's a good call on that one. I don't know.
You should.
I don't know. Well, DQ. I was looking for a DQ. I knew there wasn't going to be one, but it just looks silly. Rhodes missed a knee drop. Archer used a chin lock. We go to a commercial break. Back from commercial, Rhodes hits I think a code red, and they traded strikes. Rhodes ducked 2 lariats. Hit his own lariat. Archer ducked the bulldog, but Rhodes hits his power slam, which looked very impressive on somebody the size of Archer. Rhodes went for the 10 punches in the corner, which we don't see enough of. It's a nice throwback to the old school. Hit 5 punches before Archer cut him off. Rhodes hit crossroads, but Archer kicked out at 1, which is a nice foreshadowing of what's to come for Cody. Rhodes came off the top rope into a chokeslam by Archer, which was absolutely devastating for a 2 count. Archer walked the top rope. This is what impressed me. Archer walked the top rope and walked it like The Undertaker, but he didn't stop halfway through. He went and walked all the way, and then he hit a moonsault on Dustin, which was crazy. Archer then went for a blackout on Rhodes. Rhodes blocked it. Archer hit a chokeslam for a 2 count. Rhodes used a backslide for a quick. I thought that was it. I thought Dustin was getting the win there. That was a unbelievable near fall with the backslide for a 2 count. Archer then took the turnbuckle off and rammed Rhodes face first into the exposed steel, looking for the DQ. Aubrey says, fuck it. She don't give a shit. QT Marshall came out with a white towel. He threatened to throw in the towel to save Dustin. Cody ran out and stopped him. Cody asked Dustin if he wanted to throw in the towel. Obviously, Dustin refused. Archer pulled Rhodes back into the ring like someone who wanted to commit murder. And that was it. He slammed his head into the mat. He clawed his face and made the 1-2-3. And Lance Archer and Cody Rhodes is your championship match at Double or Nothing. Thoughts?
Yeah, I wish they would have gone in a different direction. These two guys don't need this TNT championship. I hated the finish. I know Archer's a beast, and I know he's a killer. But I don't know, slamming someone's head into the mat. I mean, Shawn Michaels used to do that, and it was just a regular move. So I mean, I'm not one of those where it's like, DDT shouldn't be a finisher anymore. I'm just saying this, to me, is not a finisher. And don't get me wrong, Dustin was completely incapacitated. You could tell, being slammed into the turnbuckle 3 times and bloody, and Cody tried to stop it, and QT Marshall. But I really wish they would have done something else here with this. I think Archer and Cody can have a match without the championship, and Archer could just continuously dominate people without the championship. And I know a lot of people might be like, well, championships make people. No, they don't. No, they do not.
There's a couple of things I loved about this. Number one, I'm with you on the predictability. I wanted Darby to win it. I hated the ending, yet I understand. Like, I know what I'm watching when I watch. I know why they did what they did with Darby. I think Darby could have won, pulled off the upset. Cody's going in defeated against Lance Archer because it's inevitable. I booked it, just in my mind, fantasy-wise. I booked Darby to win, and then I booked Lance Archer to kind of destroy Dustin Rhodes in a way where he would get disqualified, and then Dustin would go on to the finals and then inevitably lose to Darby Allin. I'm with you. Darby being the TNT champion makes sense to me. I think Lance Archer and Cody didn't need the championship. I was hoping that they wouldn't go in a predictable route. But here we are. We're getting the championship match. And the one thing that I loved about Lance Archer's performance here, I think he opened up a lot of eyes about how good he really is. A lot of people still don't know a lot about him. I've seen some of his work in New Japan. I've seen him work against guys like Will Ospreay. Guy's phenomenal for a guy his size. That's why I call him the real monster among men. I wish Braun Strowman was half as lethal as Lance Archer has been portrayed in these last 3 weeks. But with Lance Archer, the one thing that I loved about the ending was he had every opportunity in the world to attack Cody Rhodes in that ring, and he didn't. He knew he just killed his brother, and he just stood there laughing. He's like, he's smiling with this sadistic grin on his face. Like, I just killed your brother. I left him laying in his own pool of blood, and I'm going to do that to you for the championship. Like, the restraint that, I don't know if that's the story they're going with, but the restraint on Lance Archer, just by the tutelage of Jake the Snake Roberts, was just something that just captivated me in that moment. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it was done by design. I think AEW's always on top of the ball at that type of stuff, whether it be Tony Khan or any of the backstage producers, Malenko, Anderson, and even Dustin Rhodes. I think they did that by design. Don't touch. Don't even acknowledge each other. Just stare and then move along. Archer's going to be a killer, and we don't even want any sort of confrontation between the two until Double or Nothing. You might see a run-in from Cody to try and save something further down the road if Archer's in a match with a family member or a Nightmare member, but you're not going to see these two exchange blows or even really probably have a promo against each other until either the week before or the week of. That
was my next question to you. Do we see Jake back on TV given the restrictions, or is it just going to be Lance and Cody leading into the pay-per-view without Jake?
No, I think Jake and Arn are going to be a focal point in this, and I think they're going to be, at ringside for the match, and I also think that they might be cutting promos on each other, I think, and they should, man. I mean, kudos to AEW for snagging these two because they're legends, and they really bring a different dynamic to a wrestling program.
Quick opinion, who wins? Archer, Cody, TNT title?
Archer. Cody has made, and that's the beautiful thing about Cody, he has not made this company revolve around him. He is not burying people. He's not winning championship after championship after championship. He's not making himself the man, and kudos to him because I think that's the smart way to do it. If you really look at this, I know I've said this before, but none of those EVPs are champions besides Kenny, and Kenny could have been a world champion out of the gate. So
I agree with you. I'm going with Lance Archer. And I love the fact that none of them. Well, actually, I mean, looking back at it, I think they made the wrong decision. I think they needed to be at the forefront. But I'm liking the evolution of AEW. I got no complaints, and hopefully, Double or Nothing really just kind of. I don't think it's going to top last year, but I think it's going to be still for 2020 a memorable show for AEW. Now, before we get out of here, two quick questions I want to ask. Me that I got your ear, and
sure.
Obviously, we talk WWE on the channel primarily. AEW Save for Wednesday. But the big news coming out of WWE, two big stories. Number one, Vince and company being sued by their own shareholders. And then the other big news is that Zeb Coulter, Dirty Dutch, heard from somebody in the company supposedly that they're selling the company to ESPN and Fox. Now, I don't know why anybody would take the word of Dirty Dutch seriously. Like, I don't know why he's reporting news like that, but he tagged Matt Kuhn, I think, in the tweet that I seen. What are your thoughts on this? I just quickly, because I personally don't give a shit. Like, the sooner Vince is out of there, the better. Like, I want him completely out of power, or at least his power just decreased from where it is now. But I honestly think if there was a time to sell the company, or if the sale of the company was imminent, I think we're going to see it sooner rather than later. What do you think about that?
Yeah. First of all, I will touch on your first topic, which was the shareholders and stockholders. I have over 100 shares of WWE. I don't plan on suing the WWE. I would be probably tied up in litigation, and I really don't think anybody's going to win that case, because realistically, you got to prove a lot of stuff, and good luck going against Jerry McDevitt and Vince McMahon. I want no part of that.
And nobody, sued, though. I mean, that entire Q&A from the shareholders is fucking bullshit. You know? Well,
I think they're being sued because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of misleading information that the shareholders and stockholders are wanting clarification on, which is, I thought we weren't a part of the XFL. And then, them driving up their stock price, them being WWE, this is the allegations. They drove up their stock prices to sell it, and then all of a sudden the stock plummeted because of everything that went on with the XFL and everything else. So people might have a case. I won't be one of them. And good luck to the people that are going to do that. But Dutch Mantel touching on WWE being sold. First of all, let's get one thing straight. Who the hell is going to buy the WWE right now? Nobody. Right. So
Nobody.
Then we could stop. Fox and ESPN are not going to put any sort of money into the WWE of buying it when they don't have live television, their revenue shares, and everything else. Nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody's buying any companies right now. Could you imagine the headlines? Fox, ESPN has to lay off all these people, or Fox has, but then they bought all this. They bought this company. Come on.
And the ratings are the lowest they've ever been, and you know why the ratings are down? Because Brock Lesnar's not the champion, says Vince McMahon, right? Because it's the new talent's fault. It's Austin Theory's fault and Andrew Garza's fault, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that might be just Vince, looking at things as very, black and white, and people are going to accept it, because you got to remember, some of these people on the calls are not wrestling fans. They're just investors and people who know what to do with money and companies. So you're going to get the Morgan Stanleys, the Charles Schwab's, that type of people on this. You're not going to get the JD from New York, or the Justin Basario from Sports Illustrated, or the Dave Meltzer from the Pro Wrestling Observer. You're not going to see those guys on those calls.
Maybe I should buy stock so I could be on the call. Hey, I'm a shareholder. I got questions.
Well, you good luck getting them in. But no, realistically, I mean, they might sell the pay-per-views to Fox or ESPN, and I would think it's probably ESPN or Peacock. But no one's buying the WWE right now. And if this happens, you can play this clip over and over and over and over again. I just cannot see this happening. We are not in an economic time where someone's going to invest capital in any sort of business besides people investing in stocks, because they're plummeting, and you could hopefully see a rebound. I bought the WWE at, I think it was 22 a share, so I'm okay right now. But no one's gonna. I mean, why would Vince sell now either? No.
Nope. I do agree with you. But as far as the sale to a potential suitor, what happens to the network? Does the network go bye-bye? Do they sell the Big Five and keep the BD level pay-per-views, whatever, or BDC level pay-per-views like a Battleground or fucking Elimination Chamber on the network, just to give people a reason to say, hey, you can sign up for free and get this bullshit over here on the network.
Right. My thought is that the WWE will probably sell off all major pay-per-views to a streaming service provider. That way they can gain capital. They can, they'll boost their revenue, and the WWE Network will just be for basically like what, Netflix is and all that other stuff, the old stuff that everyone still clamors for. I mean, there are times where I get bored at the house and there's nothing to do here, so I'll throw on a Raw from 97 that builds up to a pay-per-view, or a Raw from whatever, 96.
So you think that they're going to charge $60, $70 for a Battlegrounds or a fucking Backlash?
No. I think the major. I'm just saying. I think they're going to sell off the rights, and whatever the company who buys the rights to the pay-per-views can do whatever they want. But you got to remember, this company's not the company that buys them, whether it be the major 5 or whether it be all 12 or 13, whatever they are. I think the Saudi shows will probably stay on the WWE network because that would be literally the only draw that they would have to keep it for fans who want to see live events. Yeah, well, of course, in the NXT brand, 100%, and the Stone Cold, Broken Skull stuff, which is fantastic. But they might charge $60. I think your B-level pay-per-views, and God, some of those are like just Monday Night Raws that are labeled as, whatever, Battleground. I can't see people paying $60. I mean, you remember this when we were kids, and even, when I was an adult, a young adult, I would only buy the major 4, and then I would buy like maybe No Way Out and Backlash because I was like, I want to see the fallout from Mania and I want to see the build to Mania. And normally those were good pay-per-views, but I do think the WWE is going to sell those pay-per-views sooner rather than later, and somebody's going to want all of them. They really will. So,
do you think that with the pay-per-views going to a subscription service like that WWE might have to amp up their creative and make it worthwhile if you're going to spend $60, $70 on these shows? Do you think that happens, or do you think WWE still follows the same model of mediocrity that they're doing right now?
No, you got to remember when in 2003, I think it was, when WWE went public. That being they were publicly traded on the NASDAQ, on the stock market on Wall Street here in New York. Everything changed. The whole landscape of the business changed. They couldn't do certain things. They had to, Austin had to. Vince wanted Austin to stay around for a while because they were just about to go public, and Austin was done. He was hurt, but he still showed up as like the GM and all that other stuff. You got to remember, somebody who puts that type of money into an investment, which is exactly what that is. Listen, if I was spending, let's just say $200 million on WWE's pay-per-views, and I said, or 250, whatever, it's probably going to go for more. But let's just say I give them $300,000 or $300 million, and I say, hey, I want all 12. You better bet your bottom dollar that my investment better pay dividends. So I want better creative. I want better talent. I want better direction. And that's the only problem with this, is that once you open that door, Vince is kind of, giving his power away because they're going to want certain things. And they've already done that with being public. They have a lot more people to answer to. That's why I think a lot of things in AEW are going the way they're going, and people are loving it, because realistically, AEW doesn't have any restrictions. They only have to worry about TNT. So,
totally agree with you there, man. I don't know. It's just to me, I'm not surprised about the news that I heard about them being sued. But like you said, Jerry McDevitt is, he's been with Vince for 40 years, 50 years. I don't know how long.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything's going to come out of that, like you said. And
do you think the WWE is dying? Do you think that you're slowly seeing them unravel themselves?
I do think that we're starting to see the beginning of the end of Vince. Yeah. Yeah. I do think that with Vince and everything that happened to him, I do think that we are, getting to a point where Vince needs to go. Legitimately.
Do you think Vince wants to sell off this company?
I don't really, care one way or another. I'm going to do my content either way, but, I made this whole big thing about Triple H on Friday SmackDown in the beginning of my review. And I do think that Triple H, whether you love him or hate him, because he's got his fair share of haters, I do think that he is the eyes and the ears of everybody who's disgruntled. And I do think that when he eventually takes over, if he's going to take over, I would appoint him. That he's going to bring WWE back to the company that we once loved. And right now, I honestly think with everything that's happening to Vince McMahon, that he's, with what's being reported, this fuck it all attitude that he's had, I do think that's more prominent now. He's had that fuck it all attitude forever, but I honestly think it's more, I guess, kind of. Do
you think there's a possibility that Vince is doing this on purpose so that nobody gets his company?
Oh, I've mentioned that several times. I think Vince would kill the WWE so that nobody else has the WWE. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Well, what do you think?
And you know what?
Being that you just brought it up.
He deserves to do whatever he wants with his company. Now, I don't think that when I say that, everybody should just calm down. I'm not saying that he should be able to, destroy it or make us watch just because it's WWE and like screw all the fans. That's not what I'm saying. But Vince built this from the bottom. Vince poached talent from all across the territories and made it a worldwide company and a world Wrestling Federation. That's what he did. So It's obviously it's very near and dear to him, and he's not just going to give up something very easily. And I think it's going to take all the money in the world to pry it from his dead hands. But do I agree with you? Does Triple H deserve to take it over? 100%. Him and Stephanie and even Shane would make fantastic, people to run this business. But the problem is I don't know if Vince McMahon is going to allow that to happen while he's still alive.
I don't think so either, man. I really don't. I think Vince is the type of person that's going to fucking kill it before he lets anybody else ruin his vision. His vision is going to be what it is. And, I mean, we could talk about this for hours, but, obviously there'll be another place, another time for it. Just wanted to get your thoughts quickly on that and all the news that's happening in WWE coming out of Stanford. But anything you wanted to end with in closing before we get the hell out of here?
No, I just want everybody to stay safe. I don't have anything to plug. I mean, you can follow me at Ticket Drew if you want. Most of you goons do. I know you'll probably, kill JD in the comments, but we're just talking wrestling. It's two friends talking wrestling. And I just want everybody to stay safe. Everyone take a breath. No one's asking you to go to arenas when things open up if they happen to open up earlier than what you want them to. It's at your discretion, and just stay safe. I always check in on JD because whether you love him or hate him, he's in New York and it's a hotbed, and he deserves to be checked in on just like everybody else. So check in on your friends and family. Make sure everyone's all right.
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much. Hope all is well with you as well up there in Minnesota. But how's it up there?
We're doing better than New York. We're doing better than New York. But
well.
I mean,
how's the weather up there?
Life, it's getting better. It was 70 today. I mean, it rained yesterday, but I mean, it's life is weird. You go out and you don't see as many cars. Everyone's out. Everyone's working from home. So I mean, when I say out, everyone's out in their yards or in cleaning their front yard or whatever. It's just different because normally I'm sitting in traffic every day and everything else, but I've had to work from home.
We're a step in the right direction, man. They're opening up state and county parks, so we're good to go.
Yeah, that's good, man. I want New York to get back to normal. That's my favorite city in the world. So.
All right, man. Let's get the hell out of here. Thanks again for joining me on Dynamite. Maybe we'll do it again next week. But I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast tonight with Ticket Drew. You can follow him on social media. You can follow me on social media at JD from NY206. And we will be back live again next week with Dynamite. Dynamite will be live, and we got some good stuff coming up. So thank you guys so very much. Drew, thank you for joining me tonight. And I will talk to you when I talk to you.